He made history. He made history at the Academy Awards for winning Best Costume Designer for Wicked. He's the first black man to win in this category, but he is an amazing, amazing talent, and it's an honor to have him here. Paul Tazewell, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, Clay. How are you?
I am good. How are you feeling? I mean, I thought you were going to win. I really didn't.
Yep.
And let me just say, for folks who may not know, you have been doing this for a long time. Your work on Broadway is just stunning. From bring the noise, bring the funk, and on and on. You've done incredible work. I mean, I love the journey, the walk, but just how did it feel last night? What did it feel like?
Well, I'm over the moon and still floating. It is really, I woke up to see this gold statue sitting by my my bed, on my bedside table, and it was like a dream. And so I feel so honored and so proud, and especially for Wicked and the work that I did, the heart that I put into the design, but then also everything that everyone else put into it as well, from the cast, the director, all the people that were involved in making the costumes. It was just really an amazing experience in making the film, and then to be honored for it was just so very beautiful. And and as you said, I mean, to then acknowledge the fact that I'm the first black man, to receive the Oscar for best costume, it is a marker, and I think with Ruth Carter, receiving the
Black
Oscar
Panther.
for Black Panther, yeah, and being the first black person to receive the Oscar for costume design, it's she is paving the way, and then I hopefully am holding hands with her as we, continue to encourage other people to enter into our industry and to make it more inclusive.
No, absolutely. And it's so funny. I was watching the show, and although Mr. Washington wasn't there, and although I'm not an actor, but I couldn't help but remember when I was 20, Lord, 24, 23, I don't know, when Halle Berry and Denzel Washington won.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Halle Berry was there. And just the inspiration that gave me. And I thought about you, and that there's going to be a young black kid that's going to see you on that stage and think costume design. I
Yeah.
could probably do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just amazing. That what, and I'm not saying the Oscars are everything. I'm not saying that, but to get that, I think it's really important. And I'm wondering, is there anybody when you were growing up that kind of inspired you or activated you in that way in the arts?
Well, it's interesting that you say this because I that was part of my hopeful message was that uh, I have become the figure of the inspiration that I had been looking for as I was
Mm,
developing as a costume designer. And indeed, I mean, Joffrey Holder was a costume designer as well as, he was a Renaissance man. He was a performer, an amazing dancer, and then he also designed costumes. He was director as well. So it's not to say that there weren't people who did some costume, but to have their career be devoted to costume design, I realize that I'm the first, and I think that what's important for me is that, as you were saying, there are young people that are out there that if they choose not to be in front of the camera or on stage, that there are other options to be creative. And I think that that is, it's so very healing for me to create, to be designing and collaborating with amazing talents. And, I think that there are other people who would flourish in that way as well. And if I can be inspiration for that, then, absolutely. I think that it's very important work.
we're in a very bizarre time right now. Uh, this whole language around DEI, I just can't believe how it's been mangled and just twisted and all that good stuff. And of course, you've earned everything that you've gotten. Uh, as somebody who has made history in the field, what do you think about this war on diversity? It really feels personal, and
Mhm.
hopefully the arts will not be impacted. I mean, we look at the Kennedy Center Honors. What am I talking about? It just
Right.
feels like a war on people who doing good stuff,
Mhm.
and I'm just curious, just your thoughts of just where we are and
Mhm.
what you've seen and how it is right
Well,
now.
I think that it's really we're in very, very challenging times. And I think, because I always ask the question because it's distressing to go from feeling seen,
Mm,
having my stories that or and stories of people that look like me, having those that where the it is more understood and more acceptable and embraced in a way that it has been really beautiful to revert back to a place. And I lived through that as well. Akron, Ohio is not a very big city, and there are places that are just not as uh they where you won't feel as comfortable being a person of color in those areas. And that, so I lived through that, and I walked through life as a Black man. And so I understand, in certain places how I'm seen. And and in that it has it's insisted that I live my life, and find expansion in different ways, and to walk with a certain kind of armor, and to understand how other people may potentially see me, but then find my own voice alongside of that, or in spite of that, and I think that the best that I can do is to be true to my own person, my own experience, my own creativity, and the stories that I choose to tell, and how I represent myself, and how how I show up, how I put my face out there. All of those things are very intentional because it is important for me for that young person that looks like me, that lives a life that is potentially like mine. Whether whether it's about race, about gender, sexuality, any of those things, it's very important for me to present as a well-grounded, successful, and also joyful person, so
yes,
that
the joy.
that next young person can see that, yes, indeed, you can live life in a joyful way,
Mm,
and also with understanding of what your surroundings are. And it's all about just making the most of life, because this is
mm.
this is not a rehearsal.
That's
I've experienced.
one of my favorite quotes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just I've experienced plenty of challenge where it has come back to, and it resonates loudly that this is not a rehearsal. You have to make the most of every moment.
Zora Neale Hurston once said, "I am not tragically colored." And I
Mhm.
always say, I am not tragically black. I am not tragically gay. Like, my life is good. There's been challenges now, don't get me wrong, but my life is not some great tragedy. And it's important for folks to see that. So
Yeah.
so young people don't think it's some downtrodden, oh Lord have mercy. And there's some tough times, but there's no tragedy in my life. I've worked really hard. I've been very blessed. I've had some opportunities I had to fight for, but I just love that.